Hey everyone, welcome back to Great Sports Debates. This is podcast number 2. We're going to cover the NFL divisional games, the bets we made, what worked, what didn't, and what we expect. We'll pop over, hit a little bit of NBA news, talk about some bets there, and then we'll finish up jumping into the championship games coming up this weekend. As always, jump in if you have any questions, comments, or concerns. Thanks for liking, thanks for subscribing. Let's go right in to the first game of the divisionals, which was the one that surprised me. Green Bay at San Francisco. Thankfully, in this game, I just did one prop bet. There wasn't anything I really liked. I knew Green Bay was hot. 9.5 was a big number. I definitely thought San Francisco was going to win. In fact, if that line was a little bit smaller, I probably would have teased it. I definitely considered money line San Francisco. So we dodged a bullet there. San Francisco did win the game, but Green Bay, I thought, outplayed them and looked better most of the game. We did bet, as we're going to bet this week and most weeks, the CMC anytime touchdown. I feel like that's usually going to be a pretty good bet. It's a good team. They run the ball well. He can pass and catch the ball. I actually saw a thing that said CMC set the record for most receptions without a drop this year. He had 67 catches with 0 drops. So not sure how accurate that is. I feel like I might have seen him drop one this year, but I can't remember when or why. So maybe something to look into. But San Francisco still looks like probably the team to beat in the NFC. Moving on, the game that was really a blowout, you had Houston at Baltimore. We did do a teaser bet and tease Baltimore down to -3 when it as soon as it hit -9 because it was 9.5 for a while. Obviously, we didn't need that, so we left a little bit of money on the table. We could take Baltimore minus the 9.5, but I thought CJ might put up some more points. The problem was the Ravens were in the backfield the entire game. I think people aren't really paying attention to the fact that not only is it a good defense, maybe it's because they don't have the standout super all pro guy, but they had 60 sacks, which led the NFL this year. And it'll be interesting to see if anybody can get any time to do well on offense against them. I think Baltimore's really going to be a tough team to beat. I'm going to like them again coming up this week. Uh, we also had a couple other prop bets that, if you remember from last week, that we picked up and won. So pay attention to the podcast. Take a look at our videos. There's always some golden nuggets there. My favorite game of the week, we had Tampa at Detroit. I had a lot of bets on this game. I gave out a lot of props that I liked. So on those props, you definitely won unless you put all of the props together. Because the 6 props that I shared, the one that went bad was Amon Ra. He didn't get over his yardage, but he got over the receptions. Laporta got over his receptions and yards. Obviously, we had Detroit money line that we paired with some things. Mike Evans, that was one of the other ones we gave out. He went way over his yards, and we figured he would. That's been the Lions' weakness, and it's really the thing that could take them out any week is, deep to the outsides. They can't really defend it well. Thankfully, their defense has stepped up the pressure, but they've done it by being a lot more riskier than they were during the season with more blitzes. But I think that's a necessary risk that's been overall good for the Detroit Lions. And finally, we got the Chiefs at Buffalo. The only bet that I did on this one was Pat Mahomes over 1.5 touchdowns. I tried to pair that with something, but I kept timing out. But that was a win. Thankfully, I didn't bet on the game because I was definitely leaning to the Buffalo side. And at the end of the day, I just figured it was a game that could go either way. But taking the Chiefs plus 2.5 wasn't really enough. I thought about teasing it up, but I really liked teasing Detroit and Baltimore together better. Um, so not a lot of money on that one, but it's definitely an enjoyable game, and it sets up a couple of really good matchups in the AFC and NFC championship game this Sunday. But before we jump into that, I wanted to hit with a couple of quick NBA news pieces for over the last couple of days. The biggest one being Joel Embiid dropped 70 points last night. It was also on the same day, anniversary wise, when Kobe had his 81 and Cat dropped 62. So with this in mind, I was thinking about if you've been with us a long time on the old channel, we did a video where we did a short clip of every NBA game in history where a player scored 60 points or more. So I'm considering whether we should update that or maybe just do something more in depth with the 70-point scores, because I don't know that I want to say that's the 14th time that someone's hit 70, six by Wilt and eight by others. Now, obviously, if you look at the trend, and you'll notice it really quick if you look at our 60-point videos, a lot of these trend more to recent times. And I wouldn't say that's because the defense is worse. I would say it's a number of factors, including uh, more efficiency and better shot selection from 3-point range, uh, which has really boosted up effective field goal percentage across the league. You just have better skilled and more athletic players. You have more good players on a team, so it's harder for teams to just double or eliminate a guy without leaving a shooter open for three. And of course, the pace. Pace is pretty fast. Maybe not quite as fast as the early '60s, but the pace is definitely faster. The scores are higher all the games, so there's a little bit of scoring inflation, but 70 points is still a lot. I think his previous high was 59. Cat, I know, has scored 60 before. So when he gets on a roll, he can definitely score. Embiid's more of the nightly basis guy. And surprisingly enough, Embiid broke Chamberlain's 76ers record of 68 points. So now I think Wilt has the number 2, 3, and 4 spot for the 76ers. Two more quick things I want to note. Tristan Thompson was suspended for 25 games without pay. Essentially, he tested positive on a drug test. Not that he's going to be much of a factor in the NBA, but a rather lengthy suspension. And then the Heat get Rozier for Kyle Lowry and a first round pick. I think this is definitely a win-win trade. Lowry wasn't going to really do much for Miami. I think this is going to free up some of the other guys on the Heat to be scorers more than try to help with the playmaking. And Rozier's probably going to have a green light on a team that had a pretty bad offense. And on the other side of it, they're just trying to collect assets. They get a first round pick out of it. The team's not good. They weren't going anywhere. Didn't make sense to pay Rozier for a couple of more years. And Lowry being an expiring contract, they'll probably try to flip again if they think they can get anything by the deadline for him. Couple things I want to point out for membership, if you choose to join, we almost had a 5-figure weekend between the NFL games, the prop bets, and then the NBA betting. So we have a lot of same game parlays or favorite teams we like to tie together. So there's a little bit of a method to our madness, but if you're interested, join and check out, and we can go through some of those big hits over the weekend. I got a few that I'm looking at this weekend as well before we go into the championship game. Let me look real quick here on our app. Uh, Let me talk about the championship games real quick, and then we'll bounce back to some of the NBA bets, just because that's the way I got it set up. The one I'm most nervous about, the least confident, I got the Lions +7, and maybe this is just me wanting the Lions to win, but seven's a pretty big number. It's a game that I feel like they could win. I see scenarios where the Lions win in a shootout. I see San Fran could win in a shootout or a blowout. But 7 points is a lot, and I think that jump from 6.5 to 7 made it worthwhile for me to jump in, as opposed to going San Francisco money line or something like that, where the payout's just really not worth it. And looking at that matchup, uh, it's kind of tough because there's a lot of spots where they're close, but there's differences. I would give the edge to the Detroit Lions offensive line, but they're going to be playing a tough San Francisco front with possibly one of the best linebackers in the league on their side. So it'll be interesting to see to run the ball. The 40 able to match up with Amon-Ra St. Brown, Laporta, JMO. If Goff has time to throw, they're going to score the ball on that end. On the other side of it, San Francisco has a pretty good line as well, especially with Trent Williams. They can run to that side, pull to that side. Christian McCaffrey, despite the Lions having one of the best run defenses in the league, I feel like he's probably going to get his yards for the most part, because he's just a really good running back, and they have a pretty good line. Purdy, if you've watched the podcast, if you watch the picks each week, I think he's a little bit overrated. I actually like Jared Goff better than Purdy, but he definitely has a lot of weapons around him, kind of like Goff with Ayuk. We don't know if Debo's going to play a lot. Obviously, that will make a big difference. But they have Kittle, who's arguably the best tight end in the game. And then, like we said, McCaffrey can kill you in the running game and the passing game. So I'd be surprised if Detroit is going to be able to stop San Francisco. They're going to have to gamble. They're going to have to go for sacks. They're going to have to go for turnovers to get stops that they need. And then it's a question of, will Detroit, this be one to look at it's be a big number. The run could slow it down as well. AFC side, I got the Ravens -3.5. I heard that's dropped to -3, so I'll probably double hammer it because I really didn't like 3.5. I was hoping for 3, but um, I thought the sharp money was going to come in on Baltimore, um, just because if we're saying the regular season matters, they definitely had the best regular season. They had a tough schedule. They led the league in margin of victory at like 11.9 points per game, which is a pretty high mark. They're, just every time I watch them, their defense is in the backfield so quick. It makes it hard to run. It makes it hard to pass. It makes it hard for the offense to do anything. Um, I know they're saying that the guard for the Chiefs is back and he's going to play. I don't know what kind of condition he's going to be in, but you better hope he's 100%, because as great as Patrick Mahomes is, and I hear everyone saying, hey, I'm riding with the Chiefs, Mahomes is the best player, he anything from his back. Now he is. I think the Ravens are too good. It's going to give them extra opportunities. The interesting part is the Ravens have a pretty good offense, but the Chiefs defense is pretty good too. But all that being said, I think the Ravens are the team and I expect them to win. If you don't like the points, the money line on this game's not too bad. Uh, maybe a few props. Some of the things I'm looking at, Kansas City side, Lamar Jackson over. Um, that's he's designed runs, scramble runs. I mean, that could really be two or three big runs for him, and he's there. and this is a game he might need to do that. Pacheco over 64.5 yards. He's been pretty solid on that most of the year. The Ravens having a tough defense. I think they are going to have to lean on that running game if they hope to have any plays to the tight ends. We saw it earlier against, even though they got killed last week against Houston, the quick to the tight end was there. So I think this is a spot where honestly, hopefully, he probably is since I got a lot of Baltimore, but that could make the difference in the game. On the Detroit San Francisco side, like we did last week and a lot of weeks, definitely, especially in the matchup against Detroit, I like Christian McCaffrey to score a touchdown. I mean, I wouldn't like him to, but I think he's going to. Let's put it that way. I like Brock Purdy over touchdown and a half. The secondary is soft. The 49ers passing game is explosive. And, whether they get out and run into a hot start or it's a shootout way, he's probably throwing at least a couple of touchdowns. I also like Sam Laporta over 4.5 receptions. Brown's number, I want to say, is 7.5. So it's a little bit of a high number, but I definitely lean to the over on that. And then you might want to check yards on Laporta as well. So that kind of wraps up what I got for the NFL. I'm just going to give you a taste of a couple of easy parlays I saw today. Not any of our best bets, but just a couple of things where you can kind of use the numbers to put together some pretty good parlays. For one, in the Nuggets Pacers game, I got Pascal Siakam under half a block. He doesn't block a lot of shots, so most games that's going to be pretty good. With the Joker to score a double double, which he does pretty much every game. So you pair those two together, you got a decent wager. Now, if you want something that's going to pay out a little more on the plus side instead of on the minus side, you can put multiple things like that together. For instance, one that I did was the Knicks at the Nets with Randall under half a block, Davenzio under half a block, Brunson under half a block, Cameron John. These guys don't block shots. A little bit on the plus side there and make a good bet. I'll give you a couple more that I looked at for today. In the Portland and Oklahoma City Thunder game, we got Oklahoma City Thunder money line. I mean, that's pretty much in the bag. You got under half a block for Brogdon and under half a block for Anthony Simmons. Those are all pretty solid locks. When you put them together, you get a decent bet out of it. And then finally, I'll give two more. I'll give one more pro and I'll give one college one. I got in the Jazz Pelicans game under half a block for Sexton, under a steal and a half for Chris Dunn. I got one other one that the members have that I paired with that. That's another one I also did on its own. So members will see that last part. That's a pretty good one. And I kind of explain why there for members. And I'll give you one college one. This is another strategy. It's harder to get on the plus side. You just kind of lump some of these big favorites together. I got the Blue Devils, Aggies, and Boilermakers all money line together. Again, it's not one where you get a great return on, but you get a consistent win. So it just kind of depends on your preference there. And these basketball ones, I mean, they're killing it. I mean, some of these things, you lock a bunch of them together, you're getting as good as plus 650 on your money for things that happen pretty consistently. I'll give you an example of one from, I want to say last night. Bulls at Phoenix. I have Nurkic under half of a 3-point field goal. Kobe White under half a block. DeMar DeRozan under half a block. Devin Booker under half a block. Bradley Beal under half a block. And DeMar DeRozan under half a steal. All those things happen pretty regularly. Now, it's a little risky. Sometimes you miss a leg or two, and that's fine. If you do a bunch of them and you're winning more than you're losing, especially when you're getting, like I said, this one was plus 650. There's a lot of good strategies to this that we talk about on the membership. So, again, that's all I got for today in this pod. Uh, we're going to look at either doing the top scoring games that we talked about, updating that or redoing that. So let me know if you prefer to see the longer video where you just kind of get a snapshot of each 60-point game, or more of an in-depth on all the 70-point games. I'm also considering a couple of different projects once the football season wraps. I got some requests about John Stockton, so I thought I could do that with kind of like we did the GOAT series where we had the four criteria, and then add in some quotable things from some of the other NBA players. Because, Stockton might be one of those guys that I underrate compared to a lot of people. But at the end of the day, when you listen to the guys who played with them and you see the numbers and the things that he's done, it's kind of hard to argue with. My other thought is doing some kind of Jordan video, but I'm not quite sure what angle we want to do with that. I got tons of positive feedback, and that's the most popular video we ever did when we did volume 3 on the GOAT series on Jordan. So we might be looking to go back to that well. But either way, let me know what you think. Hit me in the comments, and thanks for watching.